how many people have helped cross over? Bring it on.
Life will. Notebook.
Relax your forehead.
Shelf.
Nathan, get.
Okay, welcome to another episode of Not for the Weak-Minded. What you just heard there, in my opinion, said the Akasha will repeat. And so I'm going to play it again.
Bring it on.
Life will. Notebook.
Relax your forehead.
Shelf.
Nathan, get.
It says Akasha, life will repeat, essentially. Ignoring the notebook and the shelf. And I'm sure that's to do with spirit writing, and they wanted me to write things down, channeling stuff, which I sometimes do, sometimes don't, during the spirit sessions. Anyway, this entire episode is about really understanding your own existence still. So what is the Akasha or Akashic records? Now we're going into spiritualist, psychic medium Edgar Cayce, and if you've never heard of him and his prophecies and stuff, you should certainly look into it. It's rather interesting. So Edgar Cayce on the Akashic records. So this is what his take on it. When asked about the source of his information, Edgar Cayce replied that there was essentially two. The first was the subconscious mind of the individual for whom he was given the reading, and the second was the Akashic records. The Akashic records, also known as the Book of Life or God's Book of Remembrance, can be equated to the universe's supercomputer system, or perhaps what today we would call cloud computing. They are the central storehouse of all information for every individual who has lived upon the earth. And you've got to forget all of this stuff, just base it down to the earth being created. No, we're living on a non-rotating stationary earth realm that has levels, for example. Anyway, we're not going to get into the globe debate. This is about your existence. If these records contain, we'll go into it. These records contain our every thought, deed, word, feeling, and intent. They have a tremendous influence on our everyday lives, our relationships, our feelings, our belief systems, and the potential realities we draw towards us. Edgar Cayce referred to the records this way. Upon time and space is written the thoughts, the deeds, the activities of an entity, as in relationships to its environs, its hereditary influence as directed, or judgment drawn by or according to what the entity's idea is. Hence, as it has been oft called, the record is God's book of remembrance, and each entity, each soul, as the activities of a single day of an entity in the material world. Either makes same good or bad or indifferent depending upon the entity's application of self. So essentially, depending on your intentions and your emotions and the deeds and thoughts, depends upon your existence and reality. And so this is why you need to know that, unfortunately, everything we've been told is a lie, and that in order for you to actually understand yourself, you have to actually research a great deal of topics. And we are going into what people would call the paranormal, and you've got to remember that these are just labels for that, for that case. It incorporates many, many, many different subjects within it that absolutely, when you put together, proves that we have a soul and we have a purpose. And that purpose today is becoming self-evident, to spread the truth of creation, and then to use that truth as well to build a better civilization. We can use the infrastructure that they've built. We just need to change it slightly so that, modems don't harm us anymore from Wi-Fi, and engineer a new modem to, so that it can cure all diseases, for example, just harness a different frequency. It's just an example of, we don't have to destroy the civilization, in order to build a new one. We can use the infrastructure that's already been built. Just change it slightly with different technologies. So anyway, when Casey assessed the Akashic records of an individual, he had the ability to select the information that would be of the most help to that person at the particular time in his or her life. Frequently, a reading might suggest that only a selection of the available materials was being provided, but that the individual was being given that which would be most helpful and hopeful. When discussing the Book of Life, he stated that it was the record of God and thy soul within, and the knowledge of the same. When asked the difference between the Book of Life and the Akashic records, he explained what is meant by the Book of Life. The record that the individual entity itself writes upon the skein of time and space through patience, and it's open when self has attuned to the infinite, and may be read by those attuned into the consciousness, to that consciousness. So essentially, there's many different subjects about consciousness and what it is. And today, what the label would be called Christ consciousness today is actually like everyone slowly picking up the truth to vibrate at a higher frequency, so to speak, which is then vibrating outward into our environment through us, which is part of the ascension process, to change the frequencies of the earth through us, for our actions, for our deeds, for our intentions. But a lot of people are being misdirected today because they don't see the way that the elite are driving the technologies and their intentions with it. We are headed, I have to do a video about this with the blueprints, but because of the knowledge of creation coming full circle again, you have a choice today. You can either be ignorant and just ignore the evidence which you can see with your eyes that proves the earth's created and that you have a purpose, and carry on believing the lies, or you can wake up, realize the greatest potential which rests within you. So, Book of God's Remembrances, the Akashic Records. So how this works is what I've been trying to say in other videos, is whether you're not aware of it or not, your heart chakra emits a field, a magnetic electric field around you. And from that, your thoughts and feelings can be projected from you. In fact, they're always being projected from you, which is why you can pick up certain information from that field as well about that individual, whether you get that gut feeling that that individual's shifty or that type of understanding. Now, you got to also bear in mind that science has proved that the human body is not what you've been told. For example, again, the heart is not a pump. It's it's works on a complete different way to what they've been said, where it twists and it's sort of like entwined rope, as they would call. Well, they called it. And so you have neurons in your stomach too. And so this is all to do with like understanding that our body itself has certain things within it that are deeply, deeply connected to our surroundings, to space too. And these, albeit is a material world body, our spirit is deeply connected to this world too through experiences, and when you start looking at the past, when you start looking at information and things that you've never seen before, and it opens your eyes, say for example, the evidence of nuclear war in the ancient past, right, in the time of the giants, you gain new levels of understanding about the past, and that encourages your present experience, so to speak. And you kind of have to feel emotionally about past, present and future to see the bigger picture, if you know what I mean. You have to look at a lot of things to say, like, okay, I can see history repeating itself now today, and this is why. Because we've all been lied to about everything, right? We don't know our existence. We don't know that our memories are stored, our lives are recorded, that the earth is created. You know what I'm saying? So you can carry on reading this if you like. I will link it up. But essentially this has to do with a magnetic electric universe and crystals, essentially. The human body, what it's really made up of, how it really works, for example, and this is why geological time is very important, to understand how they've lied about that, because during petrification processes, what's the thing called? Transitional metals change, in the body depending on where they lay, and the real veins are actually veins, you know what I mean? So caves and caverns are insides of animals that have been modified by man, you see what I'm saying, or other beings, for example, in the mountains, and this is where the gods come into the equation as well, and what's been going on in the ancient past and today with the gods and the people in charge today going against creation, going against, the gods. So let's talk about spiritual abilities. What are we truly capable of? What can we do with our mind if we put it to it with obviously certain knowledge? So this guy, whether you've heard of him before, Prahlad Jani, has not eaten or drunk anything for over 70 years. Now a lot of you are going to go, if you're still listening, no way. But as you see, this article's about analysing it. And there's 2 articles, I will link them up and you can read them. Basically baffled by Prahlad Jani, the yoga who doesn't eat or drink anything. Now what's this to me, if we're going to go with labels, what he's doing is mastery of mind over matter, right? But he understands that he needs to ask through certain prayers or certain rituals how to be fed, to be fed in the etheric, to be fed in the ether, right? To be fed by spirits, essentially, right? But you also must know that hunger is a chemical, right? So the chemical for hunger is called ghrelin, and this stimulates the brain by entering the brain and acting on the neurons in the hypothalamus to increase the activity of hunger, causing nerve cells and reducing the activity of hunger inhibiting cells. So as stomach empties, it releases ghrelin. Now after 3 days, studies, I haven't got the studies here, but you can Google this stuff. If I found it, you can find it if you know what you're looking for. But they basically proved that within 3 days of fasting without food, just drinking water, your ghrelin levels, ghrelin decreases to the point where it flatlines. There's nothing, and so by 3 days, your body's already adjusted to the chemical process of dealing with hunger. But obviously, people in their minds go, I need to eat, right? But this guy proves that you don't. Without a shadow of doubt, his whole life is dedicated to proving the impossible. Whether you want to believe it or not. You see? And this is kind of where I'm going with understanding what you're capable of when you put your mind to it. Because you are, in essence, a spiritual body within a create physical body as well. And we're going to get into that near the end. So yeah, didn't eat and drink anything for 70 years. Now I watched the documentary. This is why I know about it, because I watch a lot of stuff. So I watched the documentary of it where a scientist actually did test him. Kept him in hospital for 15 days, I believe, or something like that, and he didn't eat and drink or nothing. Scanned him, literally, and his stomach is empty. Nothing. Zero. Nothing in his bladder, nothing. He's still alive. 7 years. So he's mastered hunger with his mind. Okay? So intermittent fasting and meditation, remedies for weight management. This is just some of the ideas of what can you do when you put your mind to it. But you have to do it in a certain way. A lot of people try certain things without really researching the consequences of doing that, without doing other things to prevent it, like being ill, for example. So drinking tons of water, for example, tons of it. But again, it has to be purified, right? It has to have certain and adding lemon juice into it, and zinc, for example, and iodine. All these things that needed to be done in a certain sequence in order to, first of all, detox your body, and then secondly, get all the chemicals out of your body, and then, if you don't want to eat today, which I really don't, but all the chemicals in the food, and I see everything as poison. So eating for me is difficult. One might say I might have an eating disorder, right? But I just refuse to eat poison. So obviously fruit and vegetables and stuff, but when you go into GMOs, and it's a crazy world we live in. What to trust, what not to trust, But this is about willpower and and what you can manage and what you can get with intermittent fasting, for example. You don't have to go full blown straight in. I'm not eating anything anymore, right? That's I don't think even he did that. He trained himself to do this through time. It's not an overnight thing, right? That's what I'm trying to say to you. You can't wake up tomorrow and go, that's it. I'm decided not to eat anymore, right? Even though you've had 3 meals a day, right? If you eat 3 meals a day, you've got to cut down. You're going to have 2 meals a day, and then you're going to have 1 meal a day, right? And then that 1 meal a day is going to have, not be breakfast. It's got to be dinner, you know what I mean? And that type of stuff, So 10 natural appetite suppressants to help you lose weight. Again, certain foods can help you stop ghrelin, the chemical. Next, mind over matter. You can literally think yourself thin. So think, right, I really want to lose the weight. I'm going to think I'm going to be losing the weight, and I'll lose the weight. Perhaps. But that's kind of the thing you got to think about, right? Because the things I'm showing you is all mind over matter. Can you imagine cancer away? This is a story. By now, you likely know David Sidler, who won an Oscar on Sunday for Best Original Screenplay for The King's Speech, was a stutterer just like King George, whose battle with the speech disorder is portrayed in this film. The Six. What you might not know is that Sidler 73 suffered from cancer, just like the king did. But unlike His Majesty, Sidler survived the cancer, and he says he did so because he used the same vivid imagination he employed to write his award-winning script. Now, this is obviously a really elitist example, right? Because he's clearly involved, but it's just an example of many other things you can find out there if you look for it. The stories that people can say to you that they said, I wished it away, and away it went. But I'm sure, inadvertently, many of these people have just not knowingly just used the power of free and fought with their heart, with their thoughts and intentions to wish it away. Because that's what it works. That's how it works. That's how we manifest our will, right? With heart and mind, and through our words, and that's how it works. Essentially, and if it doesn't happen straight away, it don't mean it's not going to happen. Sometimes, and sometimes you might not get a response because the person you're replying to knows better, right? They only want to bring good things into your life, not bad. The people that bring bad things into your life are the ones that are in charge, right? You got to see it that way. So, Sidler says he visualized his cancer away. I know it sounds awfully Southern California and woo-woo, he admits when he describes the visualization techniques he used when his bladder cancer was diagnosed nearly 6 years ago. But that's what happened. Sidler says when he found out his cancer had returned, he visualized a lovely, clean, healthy bladder for 2 weeks, and the cancer disappeared. He's been cancer-free for more than 5 years. Whether you can imagine away cancer or any other disease has been hotly debated for years. One camp of doctors will tell you that they've seen patients do it, and that a whole host of studies support the mind-body connection. Other doctors, just as well respected, will tell you the notion is preposterous and there's not a single study to prove it bloody works, even though there is, and people do it as they've just said, right? You're always going to have people opposition for things that completely rewrite what you've been told. Always. They're always going to be there. So it's up to the individual to see through and see that, there's two sides to reality. Those people that are, if you're listening now and you don't believe in ghosts and you don't believe in your soul and you don't believe in anything I'm saying, you're probably one of the peoples that are going to believe that the other doctors, when in reality, they've seen patients do it. Including this guy who's 70 odd telling you his experience. Powerful stuff, right? The true story of a man who survived without any food for 382 days. Again, it's just another story. It's just another idea of what the mind is capable of. So etheric vision. What is etheric vision? Or what is the etheric? The etheric plane, see also etheric body, is a term introduced into Theosophy by Charles Webster Leadbeater and Anne Besant to represent the subtle part of the lower plane of existence. So what is the etheric realm? The etheric body, or the ether body, is a concept introduced into philosophy, as we just said, to denote the lowest plane of the aura of the human energy field. The etheric body connects our physical body to higher realms of spiritual existence. So Listen to what I'm just about to say, yeah? Ascension's taking place today, and if you're not seeking truth, right? If you're not resonating with what is real and what isn't in terms of our existence, then your physical body can never go to the higher realms. Ever. There's many people go into the higher realms because they've put the hard work in, right? You will be rewarded for your hard work. I'm sure of it. Without the physical body, we cannot ascertain to the higher realms spiritual existence. I'm sure we can, and I'm sure there are many spirits that do ascertain a higher realm of existence too. I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but what I'm trying to say to you is that rapture involves our physical body going to the higher realms because we are connected to the etheric body, if that makes sense. So anyway, there's a Rosicrucian fellowship, etheric vision and what it reveals, and it's an interesting read, and I don't have time to read it all to you. I will leave everything in the link, but we'll just look at it, the contents. So it tells you the nature of the etheric site, the chemical ether in the human body, atoms and molecules and how they react in the human body, and I think that one needs revision because we've been lied to about what life looks like and how it really works. Sono and bioluminescence is key to everything, and light and sound and vibration. The life, ether and genetics, the spiral of life, and how, and that's so important. The golden ratio and how that's connected to all life, including the earth, this realm. Organic versus inorganic magnetism, the life of ether and cosmic fire, star and spiral, the light, ether and the sun, the occultist view of the light ether, and then there's all the others. And it goes into some interesting things about, the concepts, about understanding what the etheric is, what you can do with it. But I'm saying the ether, the etheric vision, is how he can do this. He's living off the ether. He is getting his substance from the spiritual realm. Right? In a great time of famine, he don't have to worry, does he? He ain't got a worry in the world. That there is enlightenment in all intents and purposes of what we are truly capable of, and what we really need to ascertain, because we're all capable of these things. We've all, as long as you got the spirit of Christ within, so to speak, and that is because for the search of truth about your soul self, and that you've connected spiritually with the consciousness of humanity, and all the things that we've been trying to say to teach people, and all the hidden stuff that we've revealed, you're going to go a long way in this world, I guarantee it. Where the people that refuse, they got things coming up, I guarantee it, that will shake their core to the point today where, unfortunately, we've reached that time, as the 88's time's up, so to speak, numerology, and understanding that relates to creation and sacred geometry and the revealment of that. People are running out of time because we are in the end of days, right? That the mark of the beast is coming around us, forced vaccinations because of this pandemic, and I just want people to wake up, man, to save their souls, because you're immortal, intelligent energy with free will, right? That you can choose, not to be chipped and to be hive-minded by them. Anyway, it's a sad story. It's the story of humanity, the greatest game of souls ever. That's why I call it the game of souls, because it kind of feels like we're playing a game, but we've forgotten the controls, really. We've forgotten the buttons, or the mind, and the chance, and the and all the things to ward off evil and all the other things. So life after death. Why scientists declared there is an afterlife. Memories are separate. Again, I'll link the article up. I don't want to go too much because most people don't watch long videos I produce anyway. So this book, Reincarnation or Memory Transfer, and my guess is both, because reincarnation is your experiences from a previous life, but you can also access this information because it's in the Akashic field. So you can pull down through meditative practices. If you ask, by the power of three, can I have my memories from a previous life? If you've had them, then maybe, depending on how well behaved you are, how high spiritually you are, you will receive your request, depending on your intentions. Because they say, channel Gaia channel, that you get credits for intentions, right? So the more you try and wake people up, your good intentions, the more credits you're going to get with God, right? And therefore you're going to get granted certain things, if that makes sense. And therefore it takes it back to leveling up in a game. All these different challenges you have to go through to wake up in the first place. How many times you have to go down these dark corridors to bring out light within yourself, to see that you can change, not just how you see this world and how you've been programmed to see this world, but the world itself with truth. So next one, they don't know the difference between where memories are stored in the brain, how memories can be transferred through reincarnation. Revealed the scientific proof that shows reincarnation is real. And again, if you look into these subjects and separately, you'll find out that there's some very special cases out there that, if I can't remember the names, but it was one in France to do with the Cathars in this town that was basically, these women were burnt alive, and they came into this world, right, with burns on their skin, even though they have never been burned in this life, which tells me all I need to know, that you carry the scars of your experiences on you, on your body. So if I can't explain that, but that's how deep it goes into the interconnectivity of the past, present, and future within the same time period. In this case, the past and present, but the future can be seen. If you're like this guy, he can probably ask to see the future, and he probably does. He could, and he'll get it granted. He probably heal people just by thoughts and touching them. Does the soul exist? Evidence says yes. And this goes into philosophy of religion, and that is a deep subject entirely, about how the truth was written a long time ago, but those words have been twisted and changed through time to what we believe it to be or perceive it to be today, and destroyed essentially the collective consciousness of our species, what we really used to know and how we used to use that truth. And now they use that truth against us. There was once a civilization across the earth that was peaceful, a one world civilization that was matriarchal in nature, that had free energy, that was contribution based. It's coming full circle, folks. So the women and the children are the future. They are the future. The women and the children are the future. We need to protect them. All men need to protect their women and children. That's all you need to do, protect the women and children. Because they can build a better future with truth. They will. But that's what the elites are doing, you see. Female empowerment movement. They're trying to bring out all this stuff within us through the guise of their agendas. It's that deep. So 6 possible scientific reasons for ghosts. So you ask yourself, what are ghosts? And you research it enough, you'll find out that they are people. They're living beings that once lived in that house, or once was killed in their house, once committed suicide in the house. You know, and they've not crossed over. They're still there in this realm without a physical body, but they're still here. They've not gone anywhere. So it tells me that there's 3 realms. You know, the research I've done. There is a purgatory. You go there if you commit suicide, and today sadly suicide's on the rise. I really want to help people as much to see that the people causing them to do these things are the reason why they're here in the first place, not to do that thing, and not to take their lives in the first place. It's sad, you know, the things that they've caused us to do to each other, to do to ourselves, because we don't believe in things like ghosts as a collective anymore. We don't understand that that is a human being that once lived on the earth, that suffered in the consequences of another person's actions, potentially if they were murdered. So life after death is real, right? Your soul does live on, and all souls will be judged, and everything you do is recorded through light transfer from whether it's broadcast from the heart chakra or it's wirelessly from the pineal gland, or both. Your emotions transmitted through your heart and your thoughts transmitted through your pineal gland, you know, through light. Again, I will link this up. So the scientific hypothesis of an energy system in the human body. I need to wrap this up because I need a toilet. This paper proposed the scientific hypothesis that human beings have an energy system inside their body, and put forward the necessity that proposed the hypothesis. In details, this paper explained the hypothesis for its existence, composition, functions, and possible variable methods. This paper argues that the human body includes both visible and invisible parts. The former is the material system, and the latter is the energetic system. As matter and energy can be converted into each other, it is important to study the human body from the perspective of both the material and energetic systems, which can complement each other. The nature of the energetic systems is different from that of the material system. The traditional Chinese medicine TCM perspective is based on energy, therefore extending research on the human energy system may lead to the establishment of a modern TCM research field that is firmly grounded in the principles of TCM. Such a research field might generate novel findings. When they do this, as Tesla said, when we actually take it seriously and we study the unseen, we are going to make leaps and bounds into understanding our own existence and how we've been lied to, and what really it means to be alive in this time. To not fear death, to know that you're just here to bring, as they're trying to say, peace to earth, but their peace is a false peace, because it's based on lies over centuries. But anyway, you can read the whole article if you like. I'll link it up. Chakra colors, rainbow of life, chakra colors and their meanings. And this goes into the human body and why we are the rainbow, which it says in the Bible. You are the rainbow. We are a star. We are a white light being with truth. But you have to go through the spirit. You have to go through the challenges of what life gives you, which is hard for many people to accept reality, which is difficult, because it is evil. It is run by malevolent forces. It is that the fact that we're not born free, that we are a corporate entity, and that we are slaves to a corrupt system. And then this takes you into ancient places of healing, knowledge of frequencies, and how they used it in the past. You see, that everything relates to, if we all come together and understand our own existence, the world will be a different place entirely, and we would we would make it a lot better place than what it is. The common enemy would not like this whatsoever. They would go scurrying back into their bunkers and will not come out for 1,000 years. So, full cycle, as it says, Akasha
Bring it on.
Life will. Notebook.
Relax your forehead.
Shelf.
Nathan, get.
will repeat. History is repeating itself, folks, because the same wicked spirits are in charge again today. And they have hidden everything from you, and you must look for the truth. So I thank you very much for listening and watching this episode. Till next time, please share, like and subscribe.